With many calling it historic, Onion Lake Cree Nation officially opened 15 new addictions treatment facilities at its Equisquete Healing Lodge. Our Leanne Sanders reports.
Dozens of community members, addictions counselors, First Nations leaders, and provincial government officials braved the chill Wednesday to see the ribbon cutting. A symbolic opening of the detox beds for a community still trying to heal from the residential school legacy. With both Anglican and Roman Catholic schools operating here at one time, band counselor Bernadine Harper says almost everyone experienced the trauma that came along with the schools. With the detox beds, they're hoping to change the narrative.
So our students were traumatized, and then they became parents, grandparents, and here we are today. Again, that's what we see. However, now in today's age, we have that opportunity to heal and deal with all these post-traumatic stress disorders. We can turn it around and say that intergenerational healing is happening.
Health Director with the Onion Lake Health Board, Albert Jimmy, says alcohol and drug addiction are just symptoms of underlying issues.
We're dealing with symptoms. Alcohol and drugs, it's a symptom. And, we have to really get to the root cause of those symptoms. And it really starts, healing inside.
Dr. Saxon Govinder at the center consulted on the project and describes the detox beds at Equisquete as part of a continuum of care that is now offered at Onion Lake.
So if we have individuals that come in, and especially with the new crystal meth epidemic and the opioid epidemic, being here for 6 to 7 days gives them an opportunity not only to go through supervised withdrawal, but also helps them on to the next step of their journey.
The detox beds were awarded to Onion Lake after a competitive request for proposals by the Saskatchewan government. Onion Lake has long seen itself as sovereign, and Chief Henry Lewis describes the deal with the government as organization to organization instead of nation to nation.
At home, we are revitalizing our nation, our culture, our language, our governance, taking control over our lives, our families, our community, and the future of our children.
Many at the grand opening spoke of the hope it brings, not just to Onion Lake, but to the province. Chief Lewis saying the treatment spaces will be available to anyone contemplating a journey to healing and wellness. Leanne Sanders, Onion Lake Cree Nation.
Music at the highest level not only requires individual skill, but also teamwork. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we see how Holy Rosary students are learning more about the skill of teamwork all the way in New York City. The Holy Rosary Band program is gearing up for a big trip, one surely most of the students haven't experienced at this point in their lives.
Our high school senior band, we're taking 50 students to New York on May 16th, and it'll be an intense time of performing along with sightseeing. There's some community performances at museum, and there's some workshop with NYU. So we get to study with some of the faculty at New York University.
Band at Holy Rosary has always been well supported, having the students understand every aspect of music as a whole.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I quite like it because it starts us off at like grade 5, and we can kind of get a feel for it and kind of grow a lot more by the time we get to high school. And it feels more like a family than kind of just like a classroom at this point, and like especially with the trips, you just kind of get to bond with everybody a lot.
The teachers at Holy Rosary hope this trip pushes the students outside of their comfort zone, as well as to experience all the Big Apple has to offer.
Music can just add a lot to their lives. I mean, we have the curricular concept, so we teach that and the skills and the technique, but I think it can just go beyond that and serve a purpose for them to express themselves and work as a team.
And that's all for this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students go beyond the classroom for immersive, hands-on learning experiences. It's about experiencing the real world.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
It's time now for another episode of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. This week, Stacey Comer finds out more about negotiations between couples who are separating or divorcing.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. It's time for another episode of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Hankett Divorce Law and Mediation offices in Lloydminster and Edmonton. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks again as always, Stacey. Nice to be here.
Well, Stephanie, today we're going to be talking about the difference between interest and positions, interest and positions when it comes to couples who are separating and divorcing. So let's start out with just the basics. What's the difference between those two?
Well, very basically, our viewers can think of a position as a legal outcome or a demand, whereas an interest can be thought of as an underlying reason why someone wants a particular outcome. So think of the position as the tip of the iceberg, and then the interests are all the rest of the iceberg below the surface of the water.
Okay, can you actually get in and give us some examples, Stephanie, of a position versus an interest?
Yeah, that just makes it a little bit easier to exemplify this. So the most classic example is that we learn in our training is the story of the orange. So there's one orange left in the box, and two kids are there, and they both want an orange. So it's their position that they want the orange. We don't know why they want the orange; they just want the orange. So if we're looking at a positional based bargaining, each kid would only get maximum of 1/2 of an orange because each of them, if they were to each get what they wanted, because there's only one orange left. If we dig deeper to the underlying interests, we want to find out why each of the kids wants the orange. So we might find out that one of the kids wants the orange rind because they want to bake a cake, and one of them wants the orange juice because they want to make orange juice. So in an interest-based solution, we can give one kid the juice of the orange and the other kid the full rind of the orange. So by digging just a little bit more into that why, we can actually achieve a win for each of these kids.
Okay, so how then is the concept used when you are negotiating with spouses going through separation and divorce?
Well, in the context of a separation and divorce, so getting rid of the orange for a moment, a position could be someone saying something like, I want to keep the family home, or I want 50-50 care of the children. So an interest would be the why. So what would achieving that particular position get you that's important to you, that's meaningful? For example, with the home, it could be, I want to stay living in the same neighborhood so that the kids can walk to school. Or I want to minimize changes as much as possible for the kids during this transition into living in two homes. Or I want to avoid selling the home in this market to avoid losing money. So with a position of wanting the kids 50-50, it might mean I want to maintain a quality relationship with the children, or I want to do regular day-to-day things with the kids like homework and extracurricular activities and not just be the fun parent. Or it could even be a fear of something like fear of being replaced or fear of being forgotten about. So with these examples, our viewers may see how by understanding what's underlying what's going on for families, we can look for solutions that may or may not be this initial demand. So that's really the key to the negotiations when we're looking at mediation and the collaborative divorce process is that digging work, really. So it's digging for underlying the position, the initial position, and to trying to find that win-win solution for both parties.
All right, Stephanie, well, that makes total sense. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll be back again next week to chat some more.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey.
That's all we have for news. Sports is the next, but first, here's a look at your closing market.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
2 junior bowlers from Lloyd Lanes will be heading off to the Capital Region for the Youth Bowl Canada National Championships. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
Lloyd Lanes have two of the best bowlers in Saskatchewan, as Danielle Benaturi and Ava Atkinson came home as the junior girls doubles provincial champions.
So it was really awesome. Whenever I would do really bad, Danny would kind of bring me up, and then when she would do bad, I would kind of help her out. And our coach Donald, he really helped us too, just to work us through. Whenever we would throw a bad ball, he would just help us throw a better one the next frame. And I think teamwork was really the biggest part of that whole thing.
Now the girls, alongside their coach Donald Spencer, will head to their first ever nationals in Ottawa and Gatineau.
Definitely an experience, and I think it'll be good.
With this possibly being a once-in-a-lifetime experience, their coach wants to make sure they enjoy their time at nationals.
I know the girls are really looking forward to it. It's going to be a busy couple of days, a lot of games, but a lot of excitement. And I'm hoping they just enjoy it. That's the biggest thing. Just enjoy the experience of the nationals. It's hard to keep going back, so this could be the only time they go. So hopefully they just have a lot of fun and enjoy it.
To help offset the costs, Lloyd Lanes is hosting a fundraising doubles bowling tournament.
Yeah, so May 3rd, the bowling alley is having a major tournament. We're going to be fundraising to help cover some of the cost of going to the nationals. So it should be a good tournament, lots of fundraising, 50-50, that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping it works out well.
Thomas Wildman, Primetime, local news.
Let's take a look at the next 3 days of weather in Lloydminster. And overall, it's looking a bit gloomy for the next 2 days. Thursday, we're seeing a 46% chance of rain and only a high of 4, low of -1. Friday, seeing that at 40% precipitation chance and a high of 7. And then Saturday, we're seeing our highest our weather at a high of 12. And that is all the time we have today for Primetime Local News. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.